This little sugar shack is so sweet, why you could just eat it right up. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, October the 26th, 2020. And this is vlog number 190, and it is the 229th day of COVID. So let's move right into what we're going to talk about today. You saw in the teaser that I've created another freestanding embellished element for Christmas, and here it is. It's called the Sugar Chalet, and I think it's really cute. The detail is really good on this. It should be for what it cost. Yeah, I order my designs primarily from a site called Embroidery Online by OESD, and they have great designs. Prices can vary. This, for example, was $29.99 US, so that translated to just slightly over $41 Canadian. But I think it's well worth the money. There's a little hole in the bottom, as you can see, where I can put in a battery-operated tea light or a little LED light, and it'll have a nice little warm, sugary glow at Christmas time. I love making these. They're a lot of fun to do. They take a long time, as you know, but they are fun and they're worth the effort. Okay, and keeping on a Christmas theme, I decided this weekend I was on a virtual retreat. I'm going to say more about that in a few minutes. But during that retreat, I was doing a couple of things at the same time. I was working on some more embroidery things. And while my embroidery machine was working, I used my other sewing machine. It's times like this when I'm glad I have several machines. And I had a lot of scrap fabric left over from other projects that's Christmas themed. And I thought I would just throw the scraps together, no rhyme, no reason, and create a placemat. And that's what I did. And you know, when you first look at this, you think that it's got maybe some plan to it, that there is some symmetry, that kind of thing. Purely accident. All of it was purely accident. Why did I make one placemat? Well, this is part of several other placemats that are all different. And in my guild at Christmas time, at the 1st of December, we donate these placemats to our local Meals on Wheels so they can give these to the shut-ins when they deliver them their Christmas dinner, just to make things a little bit more festive. So this will be one of those that will go in that set. The other thing that I worked on, which I think turned out really quite nice, I do have a fireplace in my house, a working one, and of course, like any fireplace, it has a mantle. So I'd heard something about mantle scarves, and I went looking on YouTube, or not on YouTube, but on the internet, Googled it, and I found a free pattern for this. I'm going to move way back here. So essentially what this is it will sit on my mantle. The long rectangular part at the top sits on the mantle, and these pointy parts, pendant parts you might call them, hang down in front of the mantle. And I think it's going to look quite nice. I'm also kind of proud of myself that I was able to pull this one off because there are points. Not so hard. And I did quilt it, and I used a combination of walking foot quilting. You can't see it because I used a variegated thread that's in reds and greens, and it just blended right into it. Again, I did that on purpose in case I made a lot of mistakes. I'm very proud to say, though, I think I'm getting better at my quilting, especially ruler foot quilting, which is what I did in the big squares and the triangles below. Now, I know you can't see that, but I'm going to show you what I did, because there's one point here where I think you can see it. So let me get myself organized here, shall I? So if you look at this point right here, that is ruler work quilting. And I did that same pattern in the larger rectangles, not the star ones, but in these other ones. And I don't know if you can see it, probably barely. There it is. So it's like a giant flower. Maybe see it better on the back. And this is what I used on the back. Hold it back here. Yeah, so I'm really happy with this. Turned out quite nice. I think it's going to look quite nice on my mantle. Now, I used to decorate the mantle. I had a artificial bow that I had created, oh geez, many years ago. I think I created it the first year we moved into this house, because my old house did not have a fireplace. And when I created it, so that would have been 25 years ago. Wow, how time flies, right? And I haven't put it out for the last few years because it's getting a little ratty. Pieces of it are falling off. I bought artificial greenery, made this long bow, and in the greenery I inserted different little Christmas ornaments and things. It was in its heyday. I was very proud of it. It looked pretty good. But over the last few years I haven't bothered putting it up because most of it sheds onto your carpet. And really I've cut back on my Christmas decorating, although not this year, not with all the things I've been making. So I really haven't, I've only ever decorated for the last 5-6 years. I've just decorated one room, the rec room, and that's it. This year, because of all these little things like the sugar chalet and the angels you've seen and that kind of thing, I think I may spread those out. And I'm thinking of making the fireplace, the hearth on it, a decorative spot. So that's why I created this to go there, and then I'll put some of my 3D freestanding elements on it and maybe a few other things and just decorate that part in the house as well. Yeah, so I was very happy with this. It taught me a lot. It taught me how to do these points. It gave me practice in my ruler quilting. So yeah, good thing. Okay, so that's all I have to show you in terms of things that I have been making. So let's go to the YouTube video of the week, something a little different. Well, here this week's YouTube channel is somewhat unique because of its content. It's called 11'8". And what makes it unique is that it's actually traffic cams that capture very tall trucks trying to go under a very low bridge. There are warning signs that this is only 11 feet 8 inches clearance, but yet people seem to disregard that notice and try to go under the bridge anyways. And the result is, as you can imagine, devastating, at least for the truck drivers. Pieces of the truck are scraped off. It's mind-boggling, the stupidity of people who don't obey signs. Now, the other thing that makes this YouTube channel unique is its accompanying web page, which is called 11'8.com. And on that, you can actually buy pieces of these trucks that have been destroyed by the bridge when they tried to go under it. And it's actually being touted as art. And these pieces range anywhere from about $35 US up to $50-some US. Something a little different. You're not going to be able to take your eyes away from this for some reason. So check out 11'8". So you will find the link for 11'8" in the show notes below, and it kind of is addictive watching it. I mean, in a way, it's kind of sad that we're focusing on somebody's tragedy and getting our kicks from that, but yeah, we are. Okay, so links down below. There's also a link for the book of the week. There is a link for a new Idiot Quilter, episode 85, where I talk all about stabilizers. I've had some people ask me about stabilizers, and stabilizers are used both in embroidery work and used with decorative stitches on your sewing machine. So I go over what I know about stabilizers and my experiences with the various kinds, because it can get very confusing. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, check out the Idiot Quilter episode 85. Now, Stephen and Walter Live was on yesterday. It was a very busy weekend for me when it came to Zoom meetings and YouTube Live and that kind of thing, and I'll explain all of that a little later on. But what I'm really excited about, what Walter and I are excited about is, well, the topic on Stephen and Walter Live this week, we were talking about Zoom exhaustion. Like, do you use Zoom? How frequently do you use Zoom? Everybody's using it for schooling, for work now, for general meetings. There's all kinds of groups out there that can't meet now physically, like my sewing guild, or my quilting guild. So we meet via Zoom, and it's becoming a way of life. So I had a few people ask me about how to connect with Zoom. And that made me think, wow, maybe Zoom isn't quite as universal as I thought. I thought everybody was on Zoom. So we're going to conduct an experiment, and you're invited to join in. If you're a regular subscriber or watcher of Stephen and Walter Live, great, you already know about this because I talked about it yesterday. But if not, let me fill you in. Instead of doing Stephen and Walter Live this coming Sunday as a YouTube Live, we're going to do it as a Zoom meeting. Now, what's the advantage to this? Well, on YouTube, you never see the other people. The only people you see are Walter and I. You can chat in there, but that's it. On Zoom, you can chat, but you can chat using your voice as well as typing things in, and we can see you if you wish to be seen. And I just think it makes the whole experience a little bit more personal, a little more fun. So we're going to have a YouTube Live in the form of a Zoom meeting. Now, in the show notes today below, I have put the link. Now, if you've never used Zoom before, it's very easy. Just click on the link. Do you need to download the app? You might. I'm still out to lunch on that fact. I'm not sure if you actually need it anymore. I know when I first got into Zoom, I needed the app. And it takes seconds, and it's free. And you just download it to your computer or to your iPad or to your iPhone. I'm not sure if it works across platforms. I'm pretty sure it'll work on a Mac. Not sure if it'll work on an Android. Not sure about those things. I'm also not sure if you actually need the app, because what happens is you click on the link that I've given in the show notes, and it just opens up your browser and takes you to Zoom. And then what you will see is a waiting session. It'll ask if you want to test your computer audio. If you click on that, you can test not only your audio, which is your microphone and your speakers, but you can also check your video. In a lot of cases, most people might be using their laptop, so they'll be able to, it'll turn on the camera, or it should turn on the camera in your laptop. And the same, it'll turn on the camera in your phone. It may say to you, if it's an iPhone, do you give permission to allow this app to connect with your camera? And you just say yes. And I think similarly with an iPad too. Now, I have used it on an iPhone. I have used it on an iPad. It works fine. In fact, I was experimenting yesterday with that. It's a little different in the setup of the controls, but if you're using one of those two devices, don't worry. If you run into a problem, I'm pretty sure that Walter and I can troubleshoot for you. And the same with a laptop. So, but it is very intuitive. It's very easy. It costs you nothing. There is no personal information gathered by this. You don't have to put in your email address or contact information or anything like that. So what'll happen is you may sit there for a couple of minutes. It'll look like it's doing nothing. It'll be waiting for the host to start the meeting. The host is me. And I have set it up on my end with a waiting room. And it just tells me who is waiting to join the Zoom meeting. And I just click a button, say admit. And in you are. And you'll be able to see everybody and hear everybody. And that's what we're going to try. So when I made this proposal yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live, it seemed I got a lot of response from people that are really interested in trying this. Now, going forward, is this something we're going to do all the time with Stephen and Walter Live? Well, yes and no. There are some advantages to this. As I said, I can see people. But one of the things I do plan to do, so I warn you of this now, and I'll mention it again at the very beginning of the live next week, I will be recording the session. And the reason I'm recording it is so I can put it up on my YouTube channel, just like I put up Stephen and Walter Live. Okay? Now, if you're a little camera shy about this and you don't want your image to be in that recording, then you have the option to turn off your camera and we can't see you. The only thing we'll see is a black little box with your whatever name it came up with for you. So, if your name's Donna, it'll say Donna. That's it. Similarly, you can mute your microphone, and we will talk about when it is appropriate to mute your microphone, because the way Zoom works is if it picks up any background noise from your end, it'll center the video on you. So if, for example, you have a dog or a small child in the background making noise, it's going to click on your image with that. But we'll talk a little bit about that at the beginning. It's not a big problem to solve, okay? So anyways, I hope you'll be able to take advantage of that. And as I said, there's a link in the show notes below. It's the very first link. It says Zoom Live with Stephen and Walter, Sunday, November the 1st at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, there could be some confusion on times, and I don't want to confuse you any further than that. But for us here, where I live, next Saturday night, we go back 1 hour. But Zoom should not have a problem with that in the way that it's set up, I'm hoping. Okay? But just a little forewarning there, just in case. Should be okay. So, next Sunday, November 1st, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, just our usual time. And there's a link below. You just click on that link and away you go. Now, you might want to copy that link from YouTube and just cut and paste it into a text document for yourself, because you don't usually use the link until about a few minutes just before the time things are supposed to start. But yeah, so in a sense, next week's a little bit of an experiment, and I hope you'll partake in the experiment, and away we'll go. We'll see how it works. Okay. Oh, and if in the meantime, if you have any questions about this, feel free to email me. My email address, as always, is at the end of the vlog. So, you know, any questions at all about this, feel free to send me an email and I'll answer it for you. Okay, so that takes us to what's pissing me off this week. Well, it's Halloween, okay? Next Saturday night is Halloween. Traditionally, we all know what that means. And that's fine. Now, I'm going to say right on the onset, Halloween is not one of my favorite events. It was when I was a kid. Of course it was. You got free candy. Yeah. But as an adult, not really. In my neighborhood, when we first moved in here 25 years ago, the neighborhood had a lot of small children. But they've grown up now. And they've moved on. And we're working on sort of the second generation of small children. But there's not as many here in our area. Plus, where we live in the subdivision is we live on the back 40, so to speak. And, well, the kids know where to get the candy and be most efficient with it. Because we have townhouses, not on my street, but a few streets over. So the kids tend to hit the townhouses because less walking, more candy. Okay? There's a logic there. I get it. Okay? So we don't get a lot of kids. I think last year at Halloween we had maybe 20. And I think I talked last year at this time about Halloween, about, you know, the people who bring the infants in arms. Those kids can't eat candy. Okay, who's eating the candy? And, you know, quite frankly, even if I knew you, I still wouldn't be that interested in your baby. Sorry, I said it. There you go. But I'm not a baby lover. To me, babies are ugly. They are. I know. How can I say such a thing? I did. Don't see the novelty in it whatsoever. Not my kid. I don't care. But anyways, you know, such is life. So I'm not expecting we'll have a lot of kids come. But even if they do, they're going to find the house in darkness because we are not going to partake in Halloween this year because of COVID. I know there's a whole lot of controversy out there whether Halloween should be canceled, what alternatives people can do for kids, and there are alternatives you could do for kids. You know, I remember my mother talking about, she grew up when she was small in a rural area, you know, farmer community. Her father was a farmer at one point in his life. And she said they used to go to the little community schoolhouse and they'd have a little party there for just the kids in that area. They didn't go door to door trick-or-treating. So, you know, they had a little party, I guess, I don't know, bobbing for apples and candy out there. And it was a community event. Parents came along too. And, you know, my way of thinking, I think that's a really great idea. It's, you know, if it wasn't COVID, okay, if it was a normal situation, I think, you know, there's more safety there for the kids. Parents can control the candy supply and everything like that, and the kids can have some fun. They can have their costumes on. You can have a little costume contest. You can play games. I think that would be a wonderful thing to do, and I think there are people out there now who are going to do that this Halloween, the same kind of idea. However, it is still COVID, and if you're doing it with your own kids, the kids that live in your house, the bubble as they call it around here, I think that's a very safe way to do Halloween. Yes, it's going to be a little less fun for the kids. They don't get to go door to door and the whole bit, but at least they'll be safe. So maybe parents can put together little goodie bags, swag bags or something for their children. Make it a little bit more special to compensate for not taking them out and, you know, having them pick up COVID and die. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. The other thing is this. I'm a senior. I'm in the vulnerable group. Actually, this vulnerable group thing pisses me off. We're all vulnerable. It has nothing to do with age. But apparently, I guess because I'm older, I'm probably weaker in the immune system or something like that. Neither way, I don't need a little kid coming up on the step and coughing on me. And they're already saying, you know, just because they're wearing a Halloween mask does not mean that's protecting anybody. They need to have the regular cloth mask. And there's even controversy about that. This Halloween has been probably the most controversial Halloween there ever has been because of COVID. So I'm playing it very safe. I'm not giving out candy. Well, that's another thing. Touching. Okay? Some people are saying, okay, I'm wearing gloves. And I'm only going to give them wrap candy. Well, that's the only kind of candy that I would feel if I had a child in regular times going door to door. The only thing I would feel safe with is regular wrapped candy, like miniature chocolate bars, that kind of thing. Not popcorn balls that someone made or a piece of sticky fudge wrapped up in saran wrap or an apple. You know. Did you know that the razor blades and pins in apples is supposedly an urban myth? That no child has been recorded as being harmed by getting something like that? I read that somewhere. How true it is, I don't know. No need to get into a big controversy over it, but I just heard that. Thought I'd share it out there. I have to admit, I was a little bit nasty when I was a school teacher. At Halloween every year, the kids would say to me, because they were high school kids, but the high school kids were just as excited about Halloween as the little kids were. Maybe for different reasons, not sure. But they say, so sir, are you all ready for Halloween tonight? And I'd go, just about. I just have to rush home and finish putting the razor blades in my apples. And that's the look they would give me. Uh-huh. Are you serious, sir? What? What? What's the problem? Now, just as a, thing here, I never did that in my life. I never did that, and I told the kids it was a joke. They were 16, 17-year-olds. They pretty much got it that I was joking. Maybe some of you think that's an inappropriate type of joke to use with high school students, and you might be right, but then, so what? I tend to be inappropriate. Just me. But anyways, let you know, I don't do that, and I wouldn't do that. But, I think giving kids wrapped candy is the best thing. And, of course, I would imagine that most parents, and if they don't, they should, when the candy gets home, you dump it out on a table, you inspect it before you let your children have any of it. Now, some people are saying, well, yeah, but you can transmit COVID on the wrappers of the candy. The jury's still out about, how long COVID actually stays on a surface. So people are saying, well, yeah, but we're going to hand it out to the kids. We're not going to let them put their hand in the candy bowl, and we'll be wearing gloves. Okay. By the way, I don't come out with a big bowl of candy and let the kids help themselves. No, because you know what they're like. And I had a few little ones. It was kind of cute in sort of a selfish way, you'd get a little one, like 3 years old, 4 years old, tottering up to the door, and you know, and they'd be sticking their hand in, and I'd bend down at their level, and I'd have the bowl of candy, and the little monster, I mean the little darling, would have their hand right up, buried up to the elbow, going in there. Ooh, they learn that real quick, don't they? So I never did let them get their hands in my bowl, but that was not necessarily because of disease. That was more or less because, one to a customer, okay? This has to last all night. And if I have more candy than I have kids, guess who's going to be eating that? Don't need it, but will be. But no, I don't even think that's a safe method. Now, I've seen on YouTube and websites and things, people have come up with elaborate devices for distributing candy. One guy had a big, huge tube that he attached to the banister that was attached to his stairs that went up to his front door. He attached that. It had a little door on the front of it, and it said insert, like open the door, put your bag or whatever under here, and he'd slide the candy down the tube to them. Now, I thought that was clever. Not just because the transmission of disease was, because he's at that point is like 6 or 8 feet away, well more than that, it looked like about 10 feet away, but I think the kids would get a real kick out of that too. So you know, there are some people out there coming up with some inventive ideas and still trying to stay safe, but for us, we're not going to be that inventive. The best I'm going to do is turn off the porch light, and I'm going to put a big sign on my door that says something to the effect, due to COVID, we're not going to be handing out any candy this year. See you next year, get double the load. Something, I don't know with that, but we're not going to do it. I'm just not going to take the chance. So it'll be interesting to see. As I said, we don't get that many kids coming around at Halloween anymore. So it'll be even more interesting to see if we get even one or two. I'm sure there'll be a few out there, and I'm sure there'll be a few teenagers out there too. And they'll probably come to the door, but I won't answer it because teenagers can't read. I know that for certain. I was an English teacher, high school teacher. Well, they can read, they just refuse to read. If it's not on a text on their phone, then, and it doesn't use a lot of smiley faces and other little emojis, they don't know what it says. So, yeah. Bah humbug, Halloween, I'm sorry. It's only 1 year, hopefully. And maybe next year we'll be back to the whole thing. Of course, that does bring up the whole thing about, what are we going to do at Christmas? Well, I know what I'm going to be doing, but what are other people going to do? So our numbers are rising. Second wave is here, full-fledged. Well, there you go. So that's what I'm pissed off at this week, that we can't, even as much as Halloween's not one of my favorite events in the year, it does piss me off that because of this disease, you know, it's going to be a big disappointment for a lot of kids. And I often say derogatory things about children, but, you know, in my heart of hearts, they're still kids, and I was a teacher, so, you know, I really don't hate children much. Okay. So, product reviews. Yes, I did buy a few things. So what did I buy? Well, I bought these little things that look like hockey pucks, oval hockey pucks. They are not. They are palm paddles, as it says. These are for free motion quilting. Usually when you're a free motion quilter, you use gloves that have like rubber tips on the fingers, and that allows you to hang on to your quilt a little bit more, so you can control when you're doing free motion quilting. Because when you're doing free motion quilting, you are basically the regulator of the stitches and the speed, and it takes some coordination. These just help with that whole process. I've seen them used, and one person that I know very well who runs the Quilter's Way, she swears by them, so I thought I would buy a set, and I have not used them yet, but I think they're going to work out pretty good. The other thing I bought, which is in this little, looks like a glass case. It is not. It is a couple of seam rippers. I have not tried these yet, but I have heard that these are really good. They'll cut your stitches, but they won't cut your fabric. However, they work. It's a very sharp little blade in here, It's kind of like an X-Acto knife with a hook, as you can see. And there are some instructions. I haven't read them yet. I just got these on like about Friday. And it came with extra blades and all in this nice little box. So I will give that a go and see how that works out. Now, I have seen these before in my local quilt store, and they're quite expensive for one. These were about 20 bucks, which was a lot less, about half the price. That's why I picked them up. Now, unbeknownst to me, Walter also bought one, but he didn't buy the same one. He bought a single one, and I'm not sure what he paid for it. His did not come in this jazzy little case, though. I don't know if he's tried his yet. So I'll have to try it and see how it works, and I might do this as part of an idiot quilter video just to talk about these once I figure out how they work. The other tricky little thing I bought is this. Now, I bought these and I bought this from a place called Reaveley, which is a Canadian company, and it's a mail order place. They do have shops around too, but you kind of go in, you look through their catalog, you figure out what you want, you fill out a form, and they get it from in behind. Well, I saw this, and this is a light, a very bright light, as you can see. It also has several settings. You can dim it, and it does this. Whoa, disco night. Yeah, lots of fun. So you may ask why I bought it. Oh yes, and another thing, it's magnetic. That is a magnet. You heard that? That's how strong the magnet is. And because it's round, you can rotate it. Not only that, but this base has some very strong magnets on it, so you can attach this to the side of something that's metal or whatever and, you know, focus it around. It also has little, get them up here, has these little hooks or whatever you want to call them, so you can hang it. And the hooks are open on the ends. So it's very, very versatile. Why did I buy such a thing, you might think? Because I'm thinking this may help when I'm doing my videos. It will give me extra light, sort of like a studio light. And because it's magnet and I can stick it wherever, it'll make it very convenient. I have a little problem with my lighting when I do my idiot quilters sometime, because the only lighting I have is overhead fluorescents, and they don't give an overall light. In here, I have a little better lighting because I have a track light over here, and I can adjust, and I have the lights in a way that, you know, gives me proper light. So that's why I bought it. Was it expensive? Well, yeah, it was about $27 Canadian. Does it take batteries? No, it does not. It has a USB port on the side, and it came with a USB cable, so you can charge it just like you'd charge your phone or whatever. And there's an indicator light on here that tells you when you need to charge it. So I think it's a cool little device. Have I used it yet? No. Well, actually, that's not true. Yesterday, I was online. I was in a Zoom meeting, which I'm going to talk about later, the virtual sewing thing that I was at, and the power went off here. Now, my computer stayed on because it has a battery pack. My modem, so my internet, stayed on because it has a built-in battery. But I was in my sewing room, and there's only one window in there, and it's pretty much covered up, and so it was pretty dark. Now, I couldn't sew, but I got out my little light. I have a metal filing cabinet out there. I just stuck it to the side of that, shined it up, and I had enough light to see to cut fabric with. So it just paid for itself right there. So very cool. If you go to Reaveley.com, you can find things like this and these and all kinds of other interesting things. And their Christmas catalog is just out, and it's online. And you know, if you're looking for something a little unusual, but of good quality, because everything I've ever bought from Reaveley is good quality. Oh yes, I bought one other thing which I didn't get out to show you because all it looks like is plastic tubes. And essentially, that's all it is plastic tubes. But it attaches to your vacuum cleaner, to the hose of your vacuum cleaner, and it has a couple of couplings that'll fit, you know, they're made in such a way that they'll fit basically almost any size vacuum hose. And the reason it's all these little tubes is that they progressively go smaller. You stick one inside each other. I got it so I can suck out the fuzz buddies in my sewing machine. I usually use condensed air, you know, air in a can kind of a thing. But that supposedly, there's a lot of mixed feelings about this, but supposedly because there's moisture in that, it can cause you more grief than enough. I use it very sparingly when I'm cleaning my sewing machine. But I thought this might work. Now, it does, except that I need one more very small tube to really get down inside. And I think I can get one. In fact, I tried a drinking straw. It fit okay in the end of the last tube, and that worked. But the drinking straw would collapse. It's just because it's too thin of plastic. These are like a neoprene tubing, okay? Very industrial type of plastic. And I think I can get one diameter smaller that would work if I go over to Home Depot and check that out. So at some point this week, I'm going to do that. But anyways, these are the kind of things you can find at Reaveley. So if you're looking for something a little different, including they have toys and games for kids as well. You know, they have a lot of games and things that are educational as well, or put things together that teach kids, you know, about quantum physics or whatever in there. So, you know, if you've got a woodworker in your household, if you have a gardener in your household, it's just ideal. The stuff you'll find there. Price-wise, it's fairly reasonable. It isn't cheap, but it isn't expensive, but it's good quality. So check them out, Reaveley.com, L-E-E and the word valley.com. Just a little plug for them. I'm not getting paid for any of this or not. It's just a place I like. I know I've liked it for a long time. Okay, so those were the new things I have bought this week. So let's go to Book of the Week. I found one more book in my stash. This is by Dyan Reaveley. Everybody knows her. She's the Delusions lady, makes Delusions paints and products and all that kind of thing. She's the lady with the weird color hair and British accent. And I'm sure if you've watched any Ranger videos, the company that makes crafting supplies, you have seen her. Well, a few years ago, she came out with this book called My Creative Journal Journey. And basically, it's all about what she does in her art journals, her style, and things like that. She talks about making backgrounds, doing fun collage pages, other techniques. Lots of colored pictures, as you can see, all showing her work. And her style is very, very interesting. I like her style. It's whimsical, it's bright, it's colorful, it's just fun. And so this book will give you that. And on the back it says, join Dyan in her Creative Journal Journey book. Using step-by-step photos and instructions is just like having Dyan by your side, showing you how she creates her original art journal pages. Now, this book is published by Ranger, and I paid originally, and I probably bought it directly from Ranger at the time, $17.39, and I believe that's probably Canadian. I did look it up though. It is available on Amazon.ca, and they're asking for, let's see, what's the price? Yeah, it's a little bit more expensive, although it does have free shipping. And that's $33.78. So that might have been a US price when I bought it. I may have actually bought it in the US at one time when I went down there several years ago. I can't remember. I have a sneaky suspicion though that that's what I did, and that was a US price. But right now, Canadian, yeah, about double that. But if you like her style, if you want to learn her techniques, this book will do it for you. Okay, So that takes us to part 5 of my curio cabinet. So I finished putting elements onto the front cover of this now, and you can see it's kind of a mishmash of bric-a-brac here. I had those big label holders that I put on here, and on top of those I put some Tim Holtz metal words, Curiosities Souvenir. I thought that was appropriate for a curio cabinet. And I also put my faux metallic corner pieces on, and then I added some of these metallic, like they're just plastic but they look like metal butterflies on here, and some little gears and arrows, and these are buttons actually. They look like an octopus and like a compass. I just cut off the shank and layered those on, and I did try to layer these so that there's a dimensional element to this. And then the problem that I have with keeping this latch open, but you want something, or keeping it closed so it won't flip open when it's sitting on its stand, I found this decorative paper clip, and it just slides. It's all in sort of a brass color, so it keeps with the color scheme going on the cover here, and it just drops right in just like that. So really easy. And I tied a key on here as well, and there's other keys laying around because it's a locked curio cabinet. So I'm kind of pleased with the way the cover has turned out. It looks vintage, it looks old, and of course you know that there are several layers of product on here as I kept changing my mind. So this isn't quite dry yet, so I'm letting it dry. And by the way, I use Gorilla Glue in both the gel form and the regular form to put all these things down because they are heavy. Some of them are metal. So I want them to stick, and Gorilla Glue is the best thing for that, I have found. So as I said, this is still a little bit wet. I'm going to let it dry, and then I think I'm going to turn my attention to the inside of the cabinet. Okay, so now I have finished the little booklet or album that goes inside of this, and I'm going to show you what I did. And I'm just going to take off my little latching mechanism here and open up the box. And I see I had one of my little pieces fall off, so I'll have to re-glue that. So here we have the album inside the box. Now, as you know, I put this ribbon in earlier. The full reason for doing that was to hold this booklet in securely in here. So we just untie it and we pull out the booklet. Now, I made this booklet using a digi-download set from Mike Deacon. I believe this one was designed by his partner, Ian, and called The Theater of Curiosities, and I thought that was kind of appropriate for a curio cabinet box. And what I've done inside is I've just taken all of their elements. I printed this out as a 7x7, and I did it on my computer using Photoshop. Actually Photoshop elements, but these are all Ian's creations in here. I just added these to the pages. I cut out his tags, put in his pockets. I went around the edges of all of the pages and all the elements with Distress Oxide ink. I think it was ground espresso that I used, a brown color. And so you see there's a lot of pages here for someone to put pictures in, to write in, to do whatever. Lots of little pullouts in here as well. The tags, I added a little ribbon to the tags, these little cards, things like that. And that's the back cover of it. I'm not sure how many pages in here, but 20 or so. Then I bound it just with a ribbon. I punched 3 holes, bound it. So it's not done in a traditional signature format, but the reason I didn't do it as a traditional signature is because of the odd size of this book. It could be done, but I didn't. And so it just fits right in there, and we tie up the ribbon to secure it. And it adds another like pretty little element to this in here. And we close it up and put the latch on and the little lock. Now, there is one more thing I want to do. Let me grab it. I have this tripod, and my idea is that this, get the tripod in the right way, is going to sit on this tripod. And I'm going to put some elements on the top shelf of this as well, or what I'm calling the top shelf. I think I've put some little bottles. I got some little bottles from the dollar store the other day that I think will work very nicely. I am going to glue this to this because it's heavy, and if it drops off, then we've got disaster. So I'll show you what that looks like, and that'll be pretty much the final element to this curio cabinet book album or book box. So next week will be the last installment of the curio cabinet, all finished at that point. That means I've got to move on to a new project. And I do have some ideas, but I guess I should start getting started on those. Okay, so events in the past week. Update of my mother. I always give you one of those, whether you want to hear it or not, you're going to. This one's funny in a weird sense. I got a phone call last Thursday morning from the nursing home. I hate it when I look at my phone and the call ident comes up with the name of the nursing home because I think, oh God, what's the matter with my mother? But my mother was fine. They always start off with that. Okay, hi, is this Stephen? Yes, it is. Okay, I just want you to know your mother's fine. That's the first thing they say. So you take a breath. We're having some trouble with your mother's TV. And I said, oh, what's the problem? And they said, well, she claims she's not getting all the channels she should be getting. And I said, well, that's funny because my mother probably doesn't know what channels she gets. She can barely run the remote control. I said, oh, why is that? Well, she claims she can't get CP24. CP24 is a channel here in Canada that's sort of a 24-hour news station. I think it's Canada. It's Canadian. I don't know if you can get it in the States or not. Well, I said, well, no, she can't get it because she doesn't get it. It's a specialty channel. My mother has the basic package. It has your major networks. It has our major Canadian networks. It has the major American networks. And that's pretty much it. It's got a few other little things in it, but nothing too exciting. Not only that, but I did add to her package when we first got her set up with the TV. She liked a channel called Bravo, which has now been taken over by one of the major networks in Canada, and now it's called CTV Drama. She likes that, so I added that to her package. But that's what she gets, and that has been doing her fine. And they went, well, we're not sure, but we'll check it out. She's also saying something about the Woman's Channel. The Woman's Channel is another specialty channel. It's now called the W Channel, and it's affiliated with Hallmark. And it has, you know, right now at this time of the year, I guess Hallmark has all those sappy little Christmas stories that make you cry, right? And movies and things like that. My mother likes that kind of thing. Well, I said, no, she does not get that either. And they said, okay, well, we'll just run through the channels with her and just make sure. And if there's anything that's a problem, we'll give you a call. And I said, okay, thank you. I wasn't looking forward to that as a problem because it meant I would have to call Bell, who's the provider. And yeah, that's a half a day of my life I'll never get back because the simplest of things can become the most complicated. Anyways, they never called me back. And I went online to look at her lineup of channels. And yeah, she's getting everything she's supposed to get that she's paying for. So I thought, you know, maybe I'll add to her package then the W channel because, you know, television is my mother's chief source of entertainment and she loves those kind of Hallmark movies and things like that. And for $10 extra a month, she can afford it. Let's put it on there for her. Now, luckily, I could do that all online without a problem. I didn't have to go through a human being or anything. So I was very proud of myself. Yeah, sure, got this, bang, there it is, except for one thing. My mother's bill for her TV and her telephone are also connected to my bill for my TV, internet, and telephone because we deal with the same company and it's just easier when it comes to paying her bill. Actually, I have her bill set up so it's an automatic withdrawal every month from her bank account, so I don't have to worry about it. We have separate account numbers, but I can check her stuff anytime I wish because that's how I do all of her banking because I have power of attorney. So I look after my mother's finances and things related to that. Yeah, you would think that it would be easy. She has an account, I have an account. They have two different account numbers, and they do. The televisions have different account numbers within those accounts. Why? I don't know. So I thought I had picked the right one to add the woman's network to. Then I thought, I better check this out. Now, it was almost instantaneous which was another thing I was suitably impressed with. I didn't think it would be that easy, because nothing ever is with Bell. So I went to my television set, turned it on, went to the channel that would be the W channel, and it should come up and say, do you want to subscribe to this? Because we don't. No, it didn't. I put the damn thing on my television. So I went back to the computer and went back on. I removed it from my TV and I put it on her TV. Then I phoned over to the nursing home. And of course, my mother didn't answer. So I hung up, I phoned the main desk, I asked them to connect me with the desk on my mother's floor, and I got the voicemail system. And I left a message and I said, okay, hi, this is me, this is, my mother, this is what I've done with her TV set, this is the channel that's now on there. Could you go into her room when you get a moment and let her know that she now has the woman's channel, tell her it's channel 602, and could you actually plug it into her remote control for her to show her where it is? And also, that will be a test to make sure that it's connected properly. And I said, if there's any problems with that, if it doesn't come up, please give me a call, gave them my number, and let me know and I'll look into it. Thank you. Never got a call back. So the next day, and now I know they're busy. Okay. I do not try to call them. I seldom call them and leave messages. Very seldom with it. I'm not one of those people who, constantly bugs them, But when my mother doesn't pick up the phone to answer, and I wanted to make sure that she knew she had this channel, that's what I had to do. So the next day I called my mother. Ooh, she picked it up on the 4th ring. That was a new timer, new world's record. I don't know what possessed her. But anyways, so I said, so Mom, did they tell you that I have put on your TV the woman's channel, W channel, and it's got all the Hallmark movies and everything on it? No, nobody told me. I pretty much expected that would be the answer, but the thing is I don't know if that was true or not. Did they tell her and she forgot or whatever? I never know what the truth is when I talk to my mother. So I said, okay, Mom, do me a favor. Have you got your remote control handy and is your TV on? Yes. I said, plug in 602. So I'm listening. I hear fumble, fumble, fumble. Then I hear nothing. I'm half expecting the phone to go dead. It didn't. Finally, she comes back on. I said, did it work? Well, I don't know. Well, what did you do? Well, my hands. These fingers of mine just don't work that well. And I just kept pushing the wrong buttons. Yeah. Okay. She does have a little arthritis in her fingers, okay? So give her that. And the buttons are small on the remote. Give her that. But I did get her a really large remote once, and that was a useless thing. So she still had trouble with that. So I said to her, okay, Mom, when one of the staff members comes in to your room, would you ask them to put in 602? And that should connect you to the W channel, and that's fine. If it doesn't, ask them if they'll give me a call or dial your phone for you so you can talk to me, and I will know if it's not working and I'll try and get it fixed up for you. Okay. Well, that was Friday. I've left it. I'll either call her this morning or I'll call her on Tuesday and find out what's going on. I half suspect that she will not have tried it again. I should have just left it alone. I really should, but I thought I was doing something she would enjoy, that she would like. Welcome to my world. I do what I can. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. We had the second class online with the Janome Artistic Digitizer program, the embroidery program. Good class, except for the dummies who don't listen. I always love that. there's always somebody in the crowd who asks a million questions, and those questions have already been answered, but they didn't bother to listen, so it has to be repeated. That annoys me to no end, and it must annoy the instructor as well. But needless to say, I am suitably impressed with this course because, as you know, last week I said I was afraid that it was going to be more sell us more products and less learning, but it hasn't been sell us any products. It has been learning. And we have learned a great deal. So we have the last class this coming Wednesday, and that'll be nice. Now, had a lot of Zooming happening this week. The Artistic Digitizer class is not actually on Zoom, but it's on something that's very similar to Zoom. So we had that. I had a guild meeting, which was virtual, on Zoom on Monday. And on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I had a sewing retreat through the Quilter's Way. And that was a lot of fun. On Friday night, we had a Zoom cocktail party to kick things off for the weekend. And that was fun. We actually hooked up the computer to our big screen, hiccups, our big screen TV in our rec room, so we could sit on the couch, have our cocktails, and watch everybody else in much bigger picture format. So that was a lot of fun. On Saturday morning, we got back into the retreat, and that's when I made the things I showed you earlier and did all of that. And we learned a lot because Kim, who's the organizer of the Quilter's Way and owner of it, she had set up some presentations as well. So we learned lots of interesting stuff throughout the weekend. So it was busy, busy, busy. But on Saturday, we had a second Zoom meeting. We were invited to play bingo with the Fiber Hustle guys. If you're not familiar with them, they have a YouTube channel. They, one guy, Aaron, I believe, he knits, and Chip quilts. And they come on. I don't think they put up a YouTube video every week. I think they might do it every other week or something like that. But it's very informative. Especially if you're a knitter, you'll get probably quite a bit out of that. But they run every now and then a Zoom bingo just for fun. And so we got invited to join it, and there were about 30 of us maybe, people on the Zoom playing bingo, and everybody was dressed up in costumes because it was sort of a Halloween theme, and there was a sort of a little contest for best costume. We didn't know about that beforehand, and there were prizes for winning the bingo games. Now, mind you, the prizes were pretty much geared towards knitters. I think everything was like different wool products, so there were a couple of nice looking pouches in there, and they did have a fat quarter bundle, and I think there was a quilt kit too. Needless to say, I did not win anything, neither did Walter, but that's okay. It was just fun. It was something different. So there you have another example, and I talked about this on Stephen and Walter Live, where you can be social with people. We didn't know any of the other people that were on there at all. They didn't know us, but it was fun. You get to meet new people. People are just there to have a good time, and so there are advantages to getting into Zoom. So I had that. And then my guild was doing a sew day on Sunday. I didn't join into that because I was already in the virtual retreat, and I just figured that was too awkward to try and balance. I wish there was a way that you could actually connect to two different Zoom meetings at the same time. And you could have like a split screen, and here's one and here's the other one, and back and forth. Yeah, that might be a little too much, but that's the way I felt this weekend. So that's why I called my topic Zoom exhaustion. Can we have too much of a good thing? And that again was the discussion on Stephen and Walter Live. So if you're interested in what we had to say about that, go ahead to the replay. So anyways, that's what we did in the past week. So what's coming up? Well, of course, Halloween, and we've already talked about that, but another Zoom event. On Saturday, for a few hours, the Canadian Men's Quilting Group, which is a Facebook group, is one of the people that's an organizer of that, has mentioned that he thought he might run a virtual retreat for a few hours on the Saturday. And so I said, yeah, I'm in. Sure. Now, the reason I really want to do this is not just because it's a quilting retreat, but it's because it's men. Quilting has been dominated by women forever, and even my guild, I'm the only man in the guild. When I do go to retreats, it's only me or Walter and I. We're the only men at it. So I have a feeling there'll be a totally different tone or atmosphere when it's all men quilters. And I'm looking forward to experiencing that. I would dearly love to go to a weekend quilting retreat that's just male quilters. I think that would be a real hoot. But of course, right now, we can't do that. So this is the next best thing with virtual. So I hope this person who's organizing it puts up the link later this week and that it goes ahead, because there did seem to be a lot of interest in it as well. So I'll let you know how that turns out. Okay, so that's it for me this week. So this will go up a little bit later on. Well, if you're watching it, it's already up, isn't it? I am planning to do today, actually, after I get this one all sorted out, another Idiot Quilter version. This one I'm going to talk about my sewing space, and I have a very, very, very small sewing space, and how I utilize it and organize all of my equipment in such a small space. So that one I'm going to work on this afternoon, so it'll be up either later today or up sometime early in the week. Yeah, so that's all that's new and everything. So thank you for joining me today. Hope to see you at our Stephen and Walter live Zoom meeting on this coming Sunday. Links are in the show notes below for that. And have a good week. And as I always say, stay well, stay healthy, stay in, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.